In this video, let me show you my 3 favorite trades from this year, what I did wrong, what I did right. So hopefully by the end of this video, you'll be able to take away at least one thing that you can implement into your trading. So to kick things off, let's start with my PLTR trade. This was actually my biggest trade so far this year, where I was able to make, as you can see, just over $45,000. Now, that was equivalent to over 200% in returns. As you can see, I had about $22,000 behind this position, resulting in that gross P&L of $45,694. Now, I actually want to start off with what I don't think I did that great with this trade specifically, because typically when I go to enter a position, I will go in with full size and I will exit with full size. Now, if I pull up the chart here, you should be able to see that I went in with full size, but I scaled out of this trade and I did not follow my plan. Now, if I actually pull up the PLTR chart, you can see here relative to when I got in, that long at 80.43 was when this order was sent through on my software. You can see here on the 28th at 9:30 PLTR calls when PLTR was trading at 80.43 per share. So essentially what I did was I then bought up these same exact contracts. I hopped into this position. It did take me a minute or so to get filled. I had my stop loss sitting here and my take profit sitting here. So 87.11 for TP and just about 77.06 for my stop. Now, as you can see throughout the day, we did not trade up into my take profit or down into my stop loss. By default, my system has me close these trades out at 3:55. So these are only day trades, and that's all I'm doing currently right now is day trading. So I should have closed this trade out right here at 3:55 exactly, which was actually high of day on PLTR. Instead, what I did was I sold off my entire trade in 3 different parts. So why did I do that? For starters, this was the first trade of the year that I really experienced this amount of volatility and was up over 150, 200, and at one point over 300% on this trade. Trading 0 DTE option contracts that expired at the end of today, seeing that I was up, at one point in this trade upwards of $80,000. And mind you, I should have been able to make just around $100,000 on this one trade alone if I did follow my plan. Yes, I'm happy with this trade. Again, that's why I want to highlight it, because 45,000 in a day is unreal. But as a trader, I have to be honest with myself and realize that I did not stick to my plan. That volatility that I saw and fluctuation in price, these contracts were literally moving 10, 15, 20, $1,000 every couple of minutes, and it was just a whole lot at the beginning of the year without having built up a big cushion of profit, and I really just wanted to secure my gains. I left out. Now, I did lose out on over 50K potential profit for this trade, but again, it was a phenomenal trade overall. And just so you know, all of these trades that I do take and that I'm covering today were posted inside my mentorship group, and I traded live in front of hundreds of students over inside my mentorship. So if you're interested in having access to see and copy my exact trades in the stock market, again, I trade options, I will put a link in the description below to my mentorship group. Now, again, didn't stick to my plan though. I scaled out in 3 parts. That was the only time this year that I did not stick to my plan. And yes, it cost me quite a lot. Now, the next trade I want to talk about was my CVNA trade. This was just a couple of weeks ago on the 7th of March, where I was able to make $27,000, a little over 100%. So 108% net ROI on this position. Correct me if I'm wrong, no matter what account size you trade with, making over 100% on one given trade is pretty good. Now, this was a textbook trade where my software sent me through this order at 10:28. You can see here, CVNA calls expiring on the 7th. These were the 197.50s. I went ahead, I jumped in this position within a couple minutes of the order coming through. I then used my algorithm to determine where my stop loss and where my take profit would be. You can see here that long at 197.16, that is when the order came through on my software. I got in at 10:31, which was right here. Now, I love this trade because we actually never were in the red. Throughout the duration and the entirety of this trade, we were always in the green, so that's a really great thing to see. And at the same time, we were actually able to cover about 7% on the chart. Now, this was a phenomenal day for CVNA. Obviously, you could see CVNA did continue to push after I did hit my TP, but I got in, we captured 7% on the chart, we hit our TP, I locked in profit, $27,000, and that was between 10:30 and TP was hit at 1 o'clock. So within just a couple of hours to have made quite literally what someone might make in an entire half a year, but actually being able to follow that plan and even seeing, you know, quite a bit of chop throughout the first hour, nice push. And then as we got very close to TP, to actually have sat on my hands and waited for that final push up to TP. And I could have sold right there, but I waited, I stuck to my plan. Obviously, we were able to capitalize on another percent, adding additional thousands of dollars to my P&L compared to as if I had just sold right here. So a big emphasis, obviously, within the trading that I do is trusting the process and sticking to your plan. And this was just a great trade of that, but also just a great execution overall from the software, obviously sending through the trade, having the initial bias, getting in those contracts, and then actually having a nice follow through using the algorithm and seeing that TP was hit. And last but not least, I do want to highlight a losing trade that I did take this year because I think there's something that can always be learned from our losses. And so let's hop right into this one. DJT, you can see I lost just about $10,000, equivalent to 41%. And you could obviously see that my winners and the percentage behind the winners and the dollar amount behind the winners heavily outweighed this loser. And typically on average, my winners are outweighing my losers just about 2 times. Now let's pull up DJT. Short, obviously. Order hit my software. This is when it came through. I got in just a couple of minutes after. That's how the system works. You can see stop loss, take profit. I think this was just a textbook example of stick to the plan, trust your system, trust the process. You can see here how close I got to my take profit. How close? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, at least 5, 6 tests to break down a little further. And you can see here, I was actually up just about $10,000 on this trade. Obviously, I ended up losing $10,000. Look at that. Up 10,000. Again, you can see those tests here. And then we ended up bouncing off of that area. Got so close. Unfortunately, did not hit it. And then you can see we traded up into our stop loss where I then did exit the trade. This is an example again of following my system. Even though this was a loss, I consider this to be a great trade because I did exactly what I set out to do. Each trade I enter, I always know how much I'm going to lose if I'm wrong, where I'm wrong, how much I'm going to make if I'm right, and where I'm right. I've already planned this outcome. I'm already totally fine with losing. And then I have made no decisions. I have put the system in place. All I have to do is sit back and let the trade play out. And you can see it did just that. I took a loss, but I stuck to my plan. So always make sure to have a plan in place before you enter a trade. Always make sure to stick to that plan. Just realize that once you enter a trade, you start to get emotional. You start to second guess yourself. You start to question yourself. By actually making a plan prior to entry, that is when you're going to be in the best mindset, the best headspace, and when you're ultimately going to make the best decisions. So please always follow your plan, trust your process and your system. If you don't, it probably means you just don't believe in your system. You haven't seen it work. You haven't made money with it. And so to solve that, backtest, go back and historically replay the trade scenarios, see if that trading system you're using would be profitable or not. And this system that I'm trading, I know has been profitable year over year for the last 4 years, has consistently outperformed the market. And at the end of this year, I know that as long as I follow my plan, even though losses suck, I have to be okay and I have to be prepared for that, because at the end of the year, I know that I will make money trading. So I hope you guys did take away some value. Again, I will put a link in the description below to my mentorship, and you can see everything that is included. I'll see you in the next video.